So I'm gonna just start this off. I am Jason Marcaida. I write for the talent in the entertainment section. You guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Okay. Hi, my name is Olivia Rollins. I'm a senior, and I am BSU president.
Um, I'm Jaden McCall. I'm a sophomore, and I'm a member of the BSU.
I'm Camila Leach. I'm also a sophomore, and I am the treasurer of the BSU club at Delmar.
All right, great. So that's everyone. We're gonna be having a conversation about representation in mostly American cinema. We might talk about stuff, but mostly like English language films and American films.
Mhm.
So I wanted to start off. Did you guys see 2020 was a pretty good year for African American stories in film. Um, did you guys watch anything particular in that year that you found really connected with you? Or
Actually,
like,
yes, I think. So the movie Just Mercy that came out in 2020, right?
I think so.
um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, that movie is definitely really good when it comes to focusing on like problems going on in like the Black community and definitely just like society in general. I think that movie really like um, shaped a lot of my like thought processes also as well going into like fighting for like change. Do you guys know what it's about or like have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
I saw the trailer a little bit ago. Would you like to go ahead and explain what the film's about?
Yeah, really, it's really about the like the mass incarceration rate of like Black people and how it's basically just like throwing them back into like a form of like um, present day slavery. And so it really
Mhm.
just goes into that like battle kind of like trying to figure out like why there's so many more Black people like in the prison system and how that has to do with like systematic racism and all that. So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, there's so basically so it's starring Michael B. Jordan, amazing black actor. And so basically it definitely focuses in on like this certain case that I feel like speaks for like the mass incarceration of Black individuals. And so basically, there's this like guy Michael B. Jordan plays. I think his name is Brian something, and he's like a lawyer, like a up and coming lawyer, and he takes on this death row case. And so basically it just follows like throughout the case, but there's a lot of social commentary and a lot of um I don't know what's the word. I don't know, but it's just like a very like emotional movie, and it definitely like I asked like all like everybody I knew to like watch it, and like everybody that did watch it, like it really hits home. So 10 out of 10 for me, really good movie. Would definitely recommend it to um everybody, honestly.
All right. Um, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember who directed Just Mercy, but I'm assuming it's a black filmmaker, and um, I'm gonna search it up right now. Um,
I looked it up. His name is Destin Daniel Creighton. He looks
he's Japanese American, I think.
oh, cool, yeah.
Okay, so I was expecting that to be a film directed by a black filmmaker.
Mhm.
Um, it's I haven't seen the film obviously, but I think there's something to be said that um, there's a way of handling stories that aren't particularly your own while still being faithful to those communities that it represents. So films like um, there's a balancing act when it comes to that. So films about racism directed by white people aren't inherently um, problematic, but it's very easy for them to slip up. So films like Green Book and The Help becoming um, popular amongst white populations for their handling of racism. What do you guys make of that?
I think those are two really good movies, like examples. I definitely think The Help, especially, is like a good example of why I guess a white director directing a movie of that content Like you said, it's not um inherently problematic, but it like that's just a really good example of it being problematic. Before this, we were talking about this movie on Netflix, and it was done by a white director, and it did not like come out in the way that it should have. So yeah,
Would you
does
like to
that?
give the name of the film? Do you remember the name of the film?
Yeah, it's Malcolm and Marie.
Oh yeah, I was planning on watching it for this discussion, but I sort of I didn't have the time, and I thought it's a white filmmaker handling like a story that like it's such a small scope to how much could he possibly capture.
Yeah.
So yeah, you mentioned that Michael B. Jordan was in Just Mercy, and I think it's to see like it's great that there's like more representation in cinema of African Americans. Back in like the 60s, you had like maybe one or two. You had Sidney Poitier, and that's about it. But now we have Michael B. Jordan, Lakeith Stanfield, Daniel Kaluuya, um, the recently passed Chadwick Boseman, and more. So, how does it feel to have like those stories and like have those actors like not only be like have mainstream roles, but also like be critically acclaimed and like yeah.
I think it's really like cool to see like I remember when Black Panther came out, it was such like a cultural like shock. It was basically like a culture shock. It was like Black people were finally starting to like, not finally, I don't want to say, but like it was definitely a way for us to get into contact with our culture more because we saw it represented in such a big platform like Marvel and Disney. Um, so yeah, I think seeing like people like that is great. Black Panther is definitely one of my favorite movies, and I think a lot of it is because of the like representation of culture. So
Yeah, as you mentioned Black Panther, I realized that there's a lot of like not only are Black people getting to finally tell stories on the screen, but not just like they're telling a wide variety of stories. They're able to make serious dramas about the legal system, but they're also able to make big Hollywood blockbusters and have those be some of the most important and financially successful films of their respective years.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And like to touch on Jaden's point, like I think also it's really amazing that like Black Panther was so monumental, and just we're continuing to see like movies that like are centered around Black culture and like Black excellence, and like what's the word, like directed and kind of like focused like towards the youth. And that was like one of the big things with Black Panther, because there's a lot of like opposition that I feel as though like parents like want to shelter their kids and like not talk about the real world, and how like our society like is racist, and there is racism in our society, and our society is discriminatory, and there's so many injustices. And so I'm glad that this like movie and like so many other movies are like making strides, so we can just kind of like further that, and honestly just like advance our country and advance our youth, advance Gen Z. So yeah, really like that aspect of it.
Jade, were you gonna say something?
Oh no, I wasn't.
No. Okay. Um, yeah. So what Olivia said about reaching the youth, that's something I noticed that resonated with films like Get Out or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. These aren't hoity-toity like you know serious dramas, but they're thrillers, they're superhero films. These are films that are more relatable and are more exciting to watch. And so having that pull, that sort of that hook of being a genre film allows people to sort of accept like this like Black people's sort of stories is not something that's completely other. It's something that's
Yeah.
relatable to the reality.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think like it's definitely like to a point where like there's so many like different genres. Like in horror, we have the movie Us with what's that? No, who was that? That was
That
the
was
guy
Jordan
who,
Peele, right?
It
huh?
was,
That was Jordan Peele made that, right?
yeah, Jordan Peele
I think
directed.
so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Lupita
Yes.
Nyong'o and
Nyong'o.
the guy who played T'Chaka. His name is Winston something. I can't remember his last name. I'm pretty sure it's Winston something, right?
Winston Duke.
Winston
I'm pretty
Duke.
sure it's
Okay,
Winston
yeah,
Duke. Yeah.
yeah. So we have like horror, we have thriller like Get Out, we have animated like Into the Spider-Verse with Shamik Moore. Yeah, Shamik Moore. And then we have like other genres. So I feel like it's like it's not necessarily like a topical like we're really starting to like get like I don't know how to explain it. We're really starting to like integrate it into like our whole like movie and production in Hollywood like that instead of it being like more of like a surface level thing. Like we're really starting to like do that, and it's just so amazing to like see that type of representation. So yeah.
Mhm.
And to like add to that, I'm like, of course, happy that like we're getting more representation. But when it comes to the casting of some of these movies, they do not like actually pick out like the best representation of what they should be using for that movie. For example, y'all know the Hate You Give, the book
Yeah, I
and
heard of
movie.
it.
Yeah.
So when they like made the movie, it was supposed to be like some beautiful dark-skinned woman to play as the main character,
Mm-hmm.
and because that's what they said in the book, and it's supposed to be based off the book. And instead of casting a dark-skinned woman or a brown-skinned woman, they chose the default light-skinned women to be casted in most of their and most of the films that are being filmed. There's also Zendaya. She's also always casted to represent the black woman, and also Yara Shadid, and also there's one more girl that's like always shown.
Amanda Stenberg is the one that was in
The one in the
Hate
Hate
You
You
Give.
Give, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of the other girl, but basically, I'm just saying that like that when it comes to casting and representing Black women, the person that usually is representing the Black woman is light skin. They don't go out to go get
Yeah.
different representation.
And I like that point, Camila, because I think it definitely like we're coming so far, but we also have so much to do and like so much farther to go. And I think like just colorism in general is present in cinema, as it is like everything like in our modern day society. So I definitely think that moving away from those like token like light skin, um, you know, uh, actors, and really like widening like the casting is definitely like super important, and it's something that like I feel like a lot of people should be looking out for when they are like analyzing and reviewing movies, like keeping that in the back of their mind, like who is playing these parts, are they representing a majority, like, so yeah, just a little my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think as much progress as there has been for African American voices to be both in front of and behind the camera, there's still, I think, a long way to go in terms of actually like films being financed and produced by Black voices. That's why you have like a white person or a white executive um, sort of pulling the strings, not like in a way of like still getting like final word, like we should cast this actor, we should have this story. So yeah. All right, so American cinema has had a troubled past with African American voices. Um, the first feature film screened in the White House was the Birth of a Nation, notorious for its use of blackface and reigniting the Ku Klux Klan. So when you watch films from older time periods that portray African Americans versus modern day films that portray African Americans, what difference do you see?
Well, definitely the aspects. There aren't movies now that have the representation of the KKK and racial things like that, because they know that they add that to their movie, then they are not getting any views on their things. Nobody is going to watch their movie if they add all those racial things. And one thing that's really important when um, talking about movies like The Birth of the Nation. Sorry, I don't even know what the movie is.
Mm.
Um, it's the fact that usually in those types of movies, uh, oh my god, I forgot what I was gonna say.
That's so
I
fun.
can't even think of it anymore.
That's fine.
No, I can
Fine.
like go off of it. Like, so basically,
Okay.
like going off of what Camila's saying, like if we went back into like the films, like maybe in the past that involved like really like racist roles, the black people that were portrayed were really in like oppressive roles all the time. And like now when you think about it, today it's not so much oppression, whereas it's stereotypes. So the black person will always be like the funny or like comedic relief, or they'll always be like a sidekick or like the not really like the main character. And if they are the main character, there's usually majority white people like surrounding them. And I think we're trying to shift away from that as much as possible. But the problem is that a lot of like the movie industry really caters to white America more. And so the troubling factor of that is that there are a lot of racist people out there. And so in order for them to make money, they think that they need to cater to that. It's really sick. It's really sad, but
Mhm.
it's reality at this at like where we are in life right now. And I think we can definitely we can definitely try our best to like change that. And I think that needs to be a priority right now. So yeah.
All right. All right. You mentioned before that you mentioned that in some situations, Black people get cast for roles that aren't quite as emphasized, so like the best friend character or the comedic relief. So, do you think of this as like like okay, obviously this is more of an improvement, but when you see Black people being able to actively play secondary characters, but not instead of not being able to play any characters at all versus just
Yeah, no, I think I understand what you're saying. I honestly think it's gone to the point where it's like I'm no longer like praising them for like including black people. It's instead turned into more of a like that should have been the bare minimum, if that makes sense. Like
Mhm.
obviously it isn't expected because the majority of people in this country are Caucasian and white. But when it comes to us including people and people of other races, I think it's important that we have people who are diverse, so that many Americans can look up to people who are like not better than them, but people they can idolize. So yeah.
And just to go off of that, like, I think our country and honestly just social justice and civil rights, like in this movement, like we're at a turning point where like Jaden said, like we're no longer praising like filmmakers for including the black sidekick. Like that's not enough. We need to do more. You guys or the Hollywood and who's ever casting, they need to do more. And they need to do better. And so like I think we're definitely kind of like flipping or like turning the page in that sense. So yeah.
All right. All right. Um, sorry, I didn't write any notes for this because I thought it'd be more like it'd be better if we had a more of a spontaneous conversation. Um, how about this? What have your guys' like favorite films in the last say decade? Like that sort of captivated you with how accurate their portrayal of African American stories were? what resonated with you the most?
I can answer this one. I don't know if you guys know the Netflix series When They See Us, and it talks about what happened with the Central Park Five. I think that was probably like the most emotional and like most connecting series I probably have ever seen on Netflix, because they portrayed like what actual like real life scenario went like for very young black men when they were in Central Park. And I think it was just really emotional, and I think that really just, if there was a move or a series or show that like just showed what it's like to be black in America, that like series would definitely get that title. Personally, that's
So I totally agree. I personally, I don't think this it's as deep as when they see us, but I did enjoy Hidden Figures, like especially because they were three black women, and like as a black woman, like I definitely that appeals to like me more. But there's still so much social commentary of that time period, and those like all three of the actors, Janelle Monáe, Octavia Spencer, and Taraji P Henson, like all amazing actors. And so I definitely especially like for NASA, that's like amazing. So that's just one that I really enjoyed, and like it's one of those movies that like I would watch over and over again. Like it's not a movie that I would get tired of. So really overall good movie.
Yeah, definitely going off of what Olivia said, like Hidden Figures was a really good movie. But then I think a movie that really resonated with me was The Hate You Give, because I find it really not, I don't really praise them for it, but when the movie industry like um, sheds light on things happening like right now that need to be addressed, it's definitely good because it really spreads awareness. And so I think in The Hate You Give, there's a lot of awareness spread more about police brutality issues, and I think that was really good. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, it speaks to the power of movies to see that like seeing yourself on the screen is sort of an act of liberation. It sort of liberates yourself and makes you feel as though it reaffirms your place in the world, especially with stories with populations that aren't quite as privileged. To see that is definitely something that's off like needed more. It's needed more. Um, all right. I guess we're just gonna continue this. To wrap this up, do you what how hopeful are you that things are going to change within not just cinema but media in general of Black representation and catering to more Black audiences and incorporating more Black voices?
So for me, I think I'm definitely more hopeful than I was before. If you were to ask me that same question last summer, like in the beginning of last summer, I would have had a completely different response, because I think just the events that have gone or that have happened in the past year have really awakened a lot of people who were living under like just ignorance and privilege. And so I think that will definitely benefit um, the film industry, because I mean I've already seen a lot more like Black movies in the making, or like how Netflix and like Hulu has like Black history sections, all this stuff that I've seen like recently start to gain like popularity, which I think is really good, because I think it's something that always should have been happening, but now that more people know, I'm glad that it is. So yeah.
Olivia, Camilla, do you have anything to add?
I definitely agree with Jaden. I would have never thought, if you had asked me last summer, that that anything would change. I honestly didn't have any hope last summer, but definitely during these recent events, way more people in America have realized how bad being, or how bad some people are treated in America. So
And oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna add my 2 cents in really quick. I think it's really sad though that it took such a like such an awakening for America to realize that it's founded on such like oppression and just like racism. Like it's just scary how these things have been going on. Like this isn't. I feel like a lot of people think that like racism or like this police brutality is like a new issue. Like this stuff has been going on for so long, but like I said before, people living under ignorance and privilege, it's I guess hard for them to see that. So yeah.
Jason, to answer your question, I agree with Camila and Jaden. I definitely am more hopeful than I was. I think that it doesn't mean that we can kind of like let up on the gas pedal, like so to speak, because there is so much work to be done. And I think that the resources that people are getting, I think honestly our biggest resource is social media, like in the world. The resources that people are getting from like social media and like bringing back into like classrooms and bringing back into their homes, because ultimately like racism is like it's a taught behavior and it's a taught like ideal and morale. And so like when you like go back into those homes and educate your family members and have those like necessary, hard but necessary conversations, it like really like starts to change things. And I also think leaders of our country as well, like we just had like a Black female poet at the most recent inauguration. That was absolutely amazing. So yes, long story short, yes, I'm definitely hopeful, but we still got to keep working, still got to keep pushing. So
All right, one final question. You said a lot of you mentioned that there are a lot of people that are living under sort of a rock and are unaware, or either or they choose to be unaware or just simply are unaware of these things that are happening. If you were to pick some movies to this population and like that's essential viewing, basically, what would you pick and why?
When They See Us, for sure. I
Mhm.
think we can agree on that one. Somebody else go. I gotta think.
Could you like rephrase the question a little bit more, or like you mean like movies that like?
What do you think is essential viewing for understanding like the Black experience in America?
I think yeah, like we said, When They See Us, The Hate You Give definitely.
All right, we're running out of time here, so thank you guys so much for participating in this interview. It was a really good conversation, and we shed some light on some really important issues.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you
thank
so much.
you.
All right, you guys have a good day.
You too.
You too.